Hmm.
Hello, hello.
What is it?
Happy Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, y'all.
Want to come to you guys as always on a Tuesday, but
Is our mic on?
it is, it is. That's,
Maybe you probably need to move up a little bit.
that's that good.
That's ghetto.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Are y'all must be out and about. Hey there, whoever that
Hey,
is.
yeah,
It's beautiful out. It is
it,
absolutely gorgeous out in the Charlotte area.
it is. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. I guess you'll catch the replay.
That's all good. That's all good.
But
Those that are here are meant to be here.
yes, yes, yes. So I feel like, why do I feel like I can't get this right? Okay, that's better. Because I feel like we'd be too far. Like like this need to be in the frame. All right.
That's okay though. It's going to do what it do.
Yes. Welcome, whoever that is that's jumping on.
Welcome.
Hey, I love you, Lord, forever and ever and ever and
That's
ever.
a good name.
Yes, it is.
It is. Just to say that name
Yes.
is confirmation.
Yes.
That's what's up.
Yes. Can you hear us? Can you hear us good enough?
Well, welcome to our
Welcome.
live. This is
Yes.
Terrence and Jill.
Yes, it is.
It's great. It's a great Tuesday. The weather's nice out here.
Hmm.
We just want to come back to you and just share a little bit of your evening this Tuesday.
Yes. I don't know why y'all be wanting to tune in to hear us,
Well,
but thank you.
I appreciate you welcoming us in.
Good. I'm glad you hear us. Okay. Because I was unsure. Sometimes you be unsure.
It's
So,
all good.
well, welcome you all. If this is your first time on our channel,
Yes.
welcome. We're Terrence and Jill. We are newlyweds. This Saturday will be 1 year.
Yes.
And
Oh, yes.
yeah, 1 year in. So we're not marriage experts. We don't give relationship advice. The only thing we do is share our testimony. And we
Yes.
feel like we have a message for singles because we were single for a long time.
Yes.
So we got married over 50. I was 52 when I walked down the aisle. Never had any children, never been married. And
Hmm.
I refused to settle. And I believed that God was going to send me the one for me, and He did.
Yes. And I was over 50 when we met. So
Yep.
this has been a long time coming.
A
And I'm telling you,
long
it is a
time.
long time coming.
A
And
very long time
but I
coming.
will say this, I'm excited that who God introduced me to. I'm excited that He heard me, that He didn't just His word is true. It never returns
Hmm.
void and empty.
Hmm.
So I'm ecstatic that it happened the way that it did.
Yes. Amen. Amen. And so thank y'all for wanting to hear our testimony and over and over again. And we sharing things as we go.
Yeah.
That first year is not always easy. And it's not because it's the person is difficult. But I believe that in that first year, what is happening is that those negative things within our each of ourselves is coming to the surface, is being pulled up. And
Hmm.
so we've got, when they rise up like that, we got to make a decision. Do we want to bail out on a relationship, or do we want to stay and fix it and get help? And so it takes a lot of patience. So but I could see why a lot of couples end up splitting in the first year, because a lot of people just don't want to see the negative parts of themselves. And so it ain't easy.
It's hard.
It's hard. It takes a lot of forgiving
It's very hard when you
and
have, yeah,
apologizing.
and when you have someone that lives with you every day, and they see you all day
Yes.
outside of you going to work and such,
Yes.
they see everything. It's like a microscope on your
Yes.
life all day.
Yes. The
And
good, the bad, the
yes,
ugly.
and this is just human nature that
Hmm.
people can do good 10 9 out of 10 times, but that one time
That
you do something
one
bad or you
bad
make a mistake,
thing is
it's like it's
magnified.
magnified. Yes, so
Hmm.
it takes a getting used to. It takes a new compromise, and it's taking
Hey,
an
Toya.
awareness of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, so but I wouldn't
Hmm.
want to do what I mean, and that's why, and I think that goes into what we did want to talk about, want to explain really quickly before we got in our topic, is talking about a God ordained
Yeah.
union, because um, you know, I think everybody likes to go into a relationship where, especially a marriage, believing that it's God ordained, um, but but God, marriage is choice. Like
Yeah.
you could select your mate, but I believe I guess we believe a God ordained union is one that is God's perfect will for our lives, not his permissive will. And a God ordained union is one where the relationship is purposeful to spread the gospel, and bring glory to the Lord's name. So our relationship is not just about us; it's an assignment,
Yes.
um, for God's glory and what He wants to do with us. A lot of people's unions are to produce kids, to produce children,
Hmm.
and so clearly that's not ours. But so, but we know that there's a purpose in spreading the gospel, and so that is what a God ordained. It's not that the relationship is any different than anybody or any better than anybody. So what it
Yeah.
is more of an assignment. So that's what a God ordained union is. And so when you are in a God ordained union, like you can't bail out. Like it's like you got to sit there and we got to look at ourselves
Yeah.
and say, okay, I did that wrong.
And we're growing. We're still growing every
Hmm.
single day, even at
Yes,
this age. And I don't mean it like, we
yes,
wasn't expecting it. But again, when you're out here and you're doing lives and you're putting your life experiences out here for people to see and to share and to depict and do all the things that they may do with it, sometimes you have to understand that you got to put your feelings on your shoulders and
yes,
protect it with the armor, because everybody isn't going to say they like everything you did and the way that you did it.
right,
And
right,
so
right,
you have to
right.
know that you got to be serious about wanting to put your life out there and allow people to share in all of those experiences. So
Yes, right, Toya. The growth never stops. I don't know what
absolutely.
nobody's, it's not a destination. It is a journey.
Yeah.
It is a constant, um, surrendering and
Yes.
repenting and asking for forgiveness and
And yeah.
apologizing and making a daily decision to say, okay, I want to be with this person tomorrow. I
Hmm.
want to be with this person for the rest of my life, the rest of our lives.
And that's
I
crucial.
choose that person, because the superficial stuff goes out the window,
Mm.
the good looks and all of that great stuff. It's like at the end of the day, it's a choice. Like, yeah, I choose to, because we believe in
Yes.
a higher assignment than
Hmm.
just us having fun together. So,
Absolutely. And if we can help anybody
hmm,
through this find their right soulmate, their God ordained mate through our experiences, it's all
and
worth
I'm
it.
gonna tell you, don't settle. And so yeah, and I just, also before we get into our topic, I also want to put an emphasis on the word prepare. That has been in my for a while now, a couple of weeks, and I've been hearing it, and I've been getting confirmation. And I've been posting it up on our community
Absolutely.
page, because, or the community portion of this platform, because I keep hearing it and it's prepared. And I just want to clarify, for a lot of you all here, what's happening is that God is revealing your mate. You might not see the person physically, but you are seeing it in a dream, in visions. you're getting prophetic words, you're getting the revelation of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the between the revelation and the manifestation, that's that waiting part, or that preparation part, I should say, because there's a lot of people who will follow us, they haven't even received a revelation, which does not mean that they got to go through these steps. But for a lot of you, from who we've been talking to, a lot of you all, you have been, it's been revealed to you. So what happens is that in that part of preparation, yes, in that part of preparation, is very crucial, and that is the pruning part. That's the part that, yeah, I know our story. I jumped ahead, and God worked it out, but which he does, but that we could work in our humanness, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of mess things up. So it's that crucial part between the revelation and the manifestation that, yeah, we've got to talk about. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and the good thing, I guess, from men, we don't. The word is like we don't talk, we don't share, and we don't do that with other men. So
mm-hmm,
the good thing for me is through this whole ordeal that we went through when we first met, when I first noticed her, I didn't share that with anybody. So
right,
I didn't allow, by me not doing that, just because men, that's just, we don't talk about stuff like that.
right,
So but what that did for me was it prevented anybody from giving me
opinions.
their opinions, and saying I'm crazy, or they don't believe in what I was doing, or I'm wrong, or I'm seeing things.
Mm-hmm,
So that kind of protected and shielded me,
mm-hmm,
although I wasn't thinking about that at the time, but it actually did, because I didn't have to hear any naysayers say anything about how I was living, how I was getting home and speaking to her through wee hours of the night before, knowing that I had to get up for work the next day.
mm-hmm,
Nobody was in my ear saying, "Dude, what are you doing? You should come
mm-hmm,
out with us,"
mm-hmm.
because men just don't talk to other men about stuff like that. So
And
it actually protected me.
and and then I'll tell this testimony at another time. But when I found out that for I was to shut my mouth, it cost me some girlfriends, and
Mm.
so I'll talk about that at another time. But yes, it will cost you. So that period between revelation and
Mm-hmm.
manifestation is very, very crucial, and that's where we want to kind of that's kind of where we
Yeah.
want to talk about these next couple of weeks. And so, what's our
Yes.
topic
Yes.
tonight?
Our topic tonight is going to be about standards. Does he or she fit into your life? And we really want to share this with you. As y'all know, we've been talking about, virtue for the last couple of weeks. Even if it wasn't the main topic, we'd always come back to it through the live to say how important we thought that was. So we really, wanted to reach out into this topic again tonight.
Yeah, and so we taking it from Second Peter 1:5, where the Lord said, well, where the scripture says, and adding to your faith virtue. And me
Yes.
and Terrence were talking about that earlier, how we have not been equipped with. Now virtue is moral standards,
Mm-hmm.
and basically it's your character, it's your, hey Mel, virtue is your character, it's moral standards, and we were talking about this earlier. We believe that a lot of our families have failed us in this area. We haven't set real good
Right.
standards. And a lot of our churches, because our churches growing up, they talked about faith, 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 faith,
Mm-hmm.
faith, 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 but they didn't talk about how to add on to our faith
Yes.
virtue or godly standards, or at least
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our churches, and they probably did, but it was drowned out by, you got to pay. Well, you ain't got no man. Okay, well, do you have faith? You ain't
Mm-hmm.
got enough faith.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have no job. Well, you ain't got enough faith. You ain't got no money. Well, okay, well, where's your faith? You want to be
Yeah.
healed? Where's your faith? But they never talked about, okay, well, self control. You got to do this. You got to do.
Yeah.
You got to add on to your faith. Are you kind? And so, yeah, right. Yep. So, um, 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 virtue is is moral standards, is having moral standards. And so so I was studying that a little bit more today, and I was studying Proverbs 31 woman, and 31 Proverbs 31:10, it just jumped out at me. Y'all know the verse. I mean, y'all know the Proverbs 31 woman, but it starts off by, so what it doesn't start off, but at verse 10 it says, who can find a virtuous woman? If that also, that word virtuous also in some translations mean good. Who can find a good woman? Yeah. She's more precious than rubies and diamonds. And so to me, I read that as if to say it is hard to find a virtuous woman. It is hard to find a woman with firm, good standards, like really, really good standards.
Yeah, and as you said, it's not because they don't want to be have those standards. It's just it's not taught. As a matter of fact, a perfect example was of this is we went walking this Saturday, and we went down to Freedom Park, and we're walking around, and we saw a family, and they was doing the ceremony.
Yeah, they was doing a quince.
Yeah, so there's so many things that they do in their culture,
in the Hispanic
in the
culture.
Hispanic culture, that they actually do, and they make a big deal out of it. Like when their young teenagers turn 16, they give them like a real ceremony.
It's a rites of passage, and just like the Jewish culture, the Jewish faith, like they have a real rites of passage where they do certain things.
And as we walk by them, we of course recognize that, and we just got to talking as we was walking and saying, in the Black community, we just wasn't taught how to bring our kids up into teenagers, and then how to give them the rites of passage to say, like for girls, they give them the right to start dating.
Right.
They give
it's
them
a ceremony.
Yeah,
they give them the right to wear high heel shoes and the right to always mourn while we as Blacks didn't have that anymore. Yes. It's like those moral standards are, and a lot of times it's because we were in survival mode for a lot of us. A lot of us were in survival mode, and so we couldn't think about having a standard. Like our standard was eat Wednesday or eat Tuesday. It was like, and not for every culture, but not for every Black family, but those moral standards, we had them, but a lot of times it didn't really stick. And so we start. Yes, and somebody put up here is virtue. This virtue is the same thing as the Proverbs 31 woman. Yes, that's what it talks about, the virtuous woman. The Proverbs 31, but on Proverbs 31:10, it says, who can find a virtuous woman? Basically, who can find a good woman? And I interpret that to mean, it's very hard to find a good, morally standing woman, because a lot of times we compromise our standards because we're taught, we're taught that is we outnumber Black men. Yeah. So we will compromise our standards in so many ways. Yeah. And when we look at the Black man and the Black woman, the Black man hardly ever compromised his standards. If he didn't get his standards from his childhood or his church or whatever, he set the type of standard, the type of woman that he wanted at some point, and they stuck to it. Even a bad man, a bad man will get, well, I ain't gonna say a bad man. A man could get into a relationship with a woman and treat her like crap. And it's because deep down he know that's not her wife. That's not who he want to be with. He going to be with her as long as he can get what he can get. But when he wifes somebody, he's a totally different person.
Yeah, you guys all seen movies where a woman would be with a guy, and in that movie, basically her character throughout that movie is saying, I want to be married, I want to have kids, I want to have a family. And then by the end of the movie, or somewhere in the middle of the movie, he leaves her, and then she runs into him 6 months later, 9 months later, he's with another woman, and they pushing a baby carriage.
Yep.
And it's like, so you've seen this a lot. And so,
it's because men Men set their standards.
Yeah.
Women compromise.
Yeah.
Our standards, we think our standards are our gifts. Like, what are we bringing to the table? A good job. I can cook. Those are gifts. Those aren't standards. Those not character. That's
Yeah.
not character traits. And so, because we compromise our standards, but we were talking earlier, and I remember when I came across Terrence's profile on that dating site, and what was the first glimpse, other than his photo, the first glimpse of who this man was. And my phone is in the room, but that happened to a cousin of yours. Yep. It still does.
Right.
You're right. It does not
Right.
make him good husband
Right.
material.
It don't.
But the point is that he got standards. He has a standard of the type of woman he wanted, and he stuck to his standards. Like, they will date you, they will sleep with you, they'll waste your time, they'll make you think, but at the end of the day, they have in their mind what type of wife they want.
Yeah.
And they will spend years with you and say that I ain't ready to be married. I don't want to be married. I don't want to be married. I ain't ready to be married. And they will break up with you, and the next woman they get, they will marry her like that. And that's because they have a standard in their head of who they want. And so 9 times out of 10, that standard met that woman's standard, which that's what we want to talk about. It met that woman's standard. You see it all the time as well. Men like the women who are hard to get. They chase the woman who they can't really get. They're pursuing the woman who gives them resistance, because that woman has a standard. But anyway, so I was talking about when I came across Terrence's profile on the dating app. It was like, it says, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this type of woman. I'm looking for, what did you say? You said you wanted a woman that know up front that I'm a God-fearing man. So if that's not you, he also said, no, he said, because I am an entrepreneur, I work around a lot of women. So if you're not secure in who you are, it ain't going to work. Like, he also said the perfect date for me would be the perfect first date for me. This is what he said. The perfect first date for me would be early dinner or lunch. He said lunch or early dinner. He set his standards. I ain't spending the night with you. I ain't wanting to dine in you late at night. And then he also said, he said, please know, he said the first day, I am only looking for chemistry. I'm looking for chemistry only. So he was like, we don't need to get to know a lot about each other on that first date. If I feel it, then we can see if we want to go further. But I just want to get through the day.
I just want to know that I want to see you tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not worried about what's going to happen 3 months from now or 2 months from now.
I just want to get to, and I was like, and a lot of women probably ran, this guy, yes, he knew himself. He says, this guy probably, forget him. And it turned me on. It was like, the more he set rules and standards, the more I was attracted to him. I was like, oh my God, like, he knew exactly what he wanted. And if you did not fit that, he was like, don't waste his time. And I was like, who is this guy? So yeah. And he said when he came across my profile on social media, what did you say?
I'll always go and read what people say about themselves, because there's 2 things you want to pay attention to. One is what a person say about themselves, and 2, what they show you about themselves.
Yes.
So sometimes, even if a person, lie a little bit about, on their profile, if you happen to read a profile of someone, maybe everybody isn't 100% truthful, or maybe they've evolved, but they never updated their profile and it's not 100% correct. But when you get around that person and they show you who their character is or what their character is, you got to take them at face value and say, try the spirit by the spirit. This guy's telling me he's XYZ. I need to believe that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been around. I got a lot of sisters, and my sisters used to say, look, I used to hear them complain all the time. I'm gonna give this guy 1 more year, and it's like, You giving them one more year, and at the end of that year, your friends are still saying, "Girl, he ain't put a ring on that finger yet. I'm gonna give this guy one more year." And it's like, well, how many one more years are you gonna give a guy to change? He's already
Or
told you
to,
who he is.
yeah, or to notice who you are. Your ex revealed all in the first meeting. I didn't understand such evil, so I didn't believe him. Wow,
Mm,
yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, and it's also, if you keep attracting a bad character guy, that means that says to me, ooh, then my character, something in my character is attracting that.
that
Something's
you're not learning from. If God is showing you something out of this person and you're not getting it, He just sends another person to show you the same thing.
is just reflecting who you are.
Absolutely.
And so, so yeah. So yeah, so we want to share some of our standards. And the funny thing is that when we were in that period of revelation, between revelation and manifestation, I went and I cleaned up my profiles on my I cleaned up all of my social media. I went through, and I used to be very Black Lives Matter, Black Lives, and I'm still am to a certain degree, but sometimes it can come off offensive. And so a lot of things I went and I start cleaning up. You shut it down. Yeah, you're right. Childhood abuse, that'll do it as well. That you're reflecting that. And but yeah, so I went through and I cleaned up a lot of my social media, all of my profiles, because I was like, okay, after I had read his profile, he was very, I was like, oh, I wonder what I got out there. Like, who am I projecting to be? And on my Facebook, I had a scripture up there. My summary, it was, for what shall it profit a man to gain this whole world and lose his whole soul? Mark 8:36. That was and that had always been mine. But, I started to, my standards have started to like change. Like, this is who I am. You either like me or you don't. But yeah.
Yeah. I tell you, it's it was good for me to meet her. And to be honest, you know, everybody's talked about COVID. Well, COVID was like the perfect storm for us. It really
The
was.
pandemic.
Because the pandemic, it shut everything down. So the one thing I couldn't do, even if I wanted to, I couldn't try to impress her. I
Eh,
couldn't take her to restaurants because they were shut down.
Yeah,
You know?
it was strictly character.
Yeah.
We had to really see each other's character because we had nothing to do
Yeah.
but talk on the phone. We would sneak to see each other because they had put a ban
They
on.
put a ban to where even at my job, I couldn't travel a certain distance
More than
past my job without getting permission from them before I had to go take a COVID test.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding!"
Yeah, so we would just, and our favorite restaurant became Chili's because that was one of the only restaurants
That was the first restaurant that
that
opened up,
opened.
and it just turned out to be around the corner from where she lived.
Yeah, and so we were in there by ourselves sitting on the patio, just getting to know each other. But even before that restaurant opened,
Yeah.
like all of these frivolous things, and we couldn't bring nothing to
Yeah.
the table, but our character,
We
who we
went
were.
hiking and just
We
walking.
walked
We walked
because we
so
could do
much.
outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it gave us an opportunity to not only learn about each other without any pressure, but
hmm
what it also did was it made us go slow
It made us
because we
slow
had to
down.
pick and choose areas that we could actually go to
Yeah.
and be able to be outdoors or be around other people, but at a distance. So it for our personalities and what we were looking for, the pandemic was a perfect storm for us to actually see the strengths out of just being calm, being very low key. Like I said, we couldn't sit there. I couldn't go get flowers and give to her because all the flower shops they were closed.
But not only that, I was still in my pruning stage because the whole year before, between the time I jumped out there in his DM and the time that he actually, saw me on his social media, that whole time God was pruning me, and he was developing patience in me. And I was being prepared. And then after we start talking, we went into, then we would, couple of months down the road, we end up going into the pandemic. So it was another slowdown. So God was like real. And at that point, I had to shut people out my ear because I didn't want to hear nobody say, well, he ain't come to see you yet. Because I had one girlfriend that said, because Terrence would come to see me all the time. Like every weekend, he was driving up to see me. And I was never, it was like almost a year before I
Yeah.
went down to, came down to Charlotte to his house. And I remember one of my girlfriends said, you don't have a problem with him not coming, not inviting you to his house? I was like, nope, nope, nope. And at that point, I knew I had to start zipping my lip to what, because God was doing something to me and I did not need it to be questioned. I needed him to do his good work in me, because in my mind I was like, yeah, it was, at times, it wasn't as fast as I wanted it to be. Um yeah, but then when we really got into it, when he proposed, I was like, wait, hold, slow down. Wait a minute. I wasn't expecting this. So yeah, trust in the process, Toya. Trust in the process.
Absolutely.
Yep. So there's some standards that we have, that we both had, that ended up being compatible. And I think they ended up attracting.
Yeah, really solidifying
Yeah.
what we both needed in our lives because of, like she said, our compatibility.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the standards?
The
We
first
got
okay,
five for
the
you.
first one was our Christian lifestyle.
Yeah.
The good thing about the both of us, I believe, that really became a blessing is the fact that we both prayed individually and we both had relationships individually with God. And it wasn't that we went to church every day.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that we prayed with God every day. We spoke to God every day. We spent time fellowshipping with God every day. So when it came, time for us to want to talk about the word with each other, it wasn't something uncomfortable for neither one of us. It was like, oh my God, you like that passage? Oh, I like that scripture too. And we got to really being able to just speak about different scriptures and different things and what it means to us. And so that was very comforting to me.
And feeling comfortable to, because we could be Christians but have a different church
Mm-hmm.
type of background. I remember one of my girlfriends said that, the guy she was dating, he was a believer. That's what he said. But she took him to church with her. And, everybody was, speaking in tongues stuff. And it scared him. And it scared him away. And he was like, that ain't what he was into. So, but I felt comfortable of taking Terrence to church with, Terrence to church with me and me going to church with him. It was like, okay, I'm gonna stand up and clap to this song, and I don't feel bad because I'm feeling this song. I'm at his church and I'm doing this stuff, and so he comes to my church and feels it too, and so just understanding the our Christian lifestyle, and speaking in tongues and praying in the spirit, and all the whole fivefold ministry, and listening to different pastors and preachers, and did you hear that? And did you? I mean, it's that the whole Christian lifestyle for us, that it was, we can understand each other. That was non-negotiable. Those were non-negotiable. Those were our standards. Like if nobody could, like I don't understand when people say he's a Muslim, but we don't. I'm like, how do you really? How do you? I guess it's not for me to understand.
The next one is, and this is actually second to our Christian lifestyle. This is really big, okay, for us, and that is our family lifestyle. The reason why this is big, because we both came from a huge, huge family.
Yeah.
I have more brothers and sisters than most, okay, and she lived in a family just as large as mine. So the fact that we understood how to be around a lot of people all the time, with brothers and sisters and everybody,
sleeping to a bed growing up,
and everybody talking over everybody and stuff going on in every room of the house. We was okay with that because
family
we was
events
used to it.
and family dinners and family gatherings, and like even when we had our wedding, it's like, okay, a lot of the people who we want to invite now, because we got a lot of nieces and nephews, and we want all of them to be there. We got, understand the family dynamics. When a sister calls, whether it's his sister or my sister, if one of our family members call and need money, okay, which one of us going to the ATM machine? Which one, who, she needs this or he needs this. or when we need to move, his brothers knew, I got to drop what I'm doing because I got to go help them move. We know that dynamic of needing
Yeah.
to, our family is an extension of us. And then even him having children, like
Yeah.
that was non-negotiable. He had to have someone who was okay with.
Yes, that actually was probably a really milestone for us when I was able to introduce you and my daughter for the first time, and y'all hit it off like y'all have known each other forever. And I was like,
he brought her
okay,
to Raleigh.
This is a good thing.
Yep. And I have my braids in my hand. She came up and, oh my God, I love your braids. So yeah, but even that dynamic, understanding that I'm not a mother, but he's a father. So if I don't fit with that, but I had nieces and nephews, and so I'm just like their mom, their second mom. So I knew that dynamic. But the other thing that goes even deeper, even me growing up as a woman, one of the things I noticed that it was very challenging for me to be girlfriends with women who did not have sisters, because a lot of times they don't understand that dynamic where we can disagree or we can fight, but in an hour we good,
right.
because we were taught, that's how we were taught. Okay, get it together before dinner. But there were girlfriends that I had came across and tried to be friends with, and they hold grudges and they don't forgive, and I'm like, okay, I already know it ain't gonna be that good for us, because when you got sisters, especially sisters that are close age, like right or 1 or 2 years behind you or in front of you, it's a different dynamic. And so family values and our family lifestyle, yeah. There's a lot of I have family members who marry like guys who come from, like, they were the only child, and they get overwhelmed with our family and they get mad. I don't want to keep going to your family's event. I don't want to be there. I don't want to go. I don't,
Every weekend somebody
somebody celebrating stuff, I don't,
Right.
and that has an effect on their relationship, because it's like, do I choose? And of course, you go with your husband, you got, but then you get tired of missing out on
Right.
things. I'm like, I'm down here with the Smiths, and the Smiths, I'm like, okay, what the Smiths doing? Let's do something with the Smiths. So, because I'm used to that type of lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our next one is our entrepreneur spirits, our lifestyle.
Yep.
That's huge, because it shows that one, we both want to continue to grow and to continue to have our own businesses and so forth. So the great thing about now having someone that I can share that with, it's awesome being able to do something and know that now we're working together in that same format to actually build something together and be able to share and talk about it and be able to come home and to be with somebody, and we go to business things together, we come home together. It's an awesome thing.
Yeah, and it calls for risk. And so if you have the type of person who ain't trying to take a risk, that could hold you, I remember when we were in our engagement period, and an opportunity came, and we talked about it, and we put a couple of $1,000s in it. We was like, okay, let's do it. And it didn't pan out like we wanted. But it was a risk, and we rebounded from it, and we were okay with it. But that was, in his profile, in Terrence's profile, it said, due to the nature of I was like, okay, he's a businessman too. Then he had on a suit. So I knew he was a businessman. But yeah, if you don't have, that was a non-negotiable. That was a standard, that was one of them, and have to be a good businessman, a man of integrity, like a good, moral standards, and be able to do business with integrity. So yeah.
And see, what I liked about that decision we made was, even in our conversation, we agreed, even if it don't work out, as long as we felt we learned something from it, we was going to be okay with that opportunity. And so we went with it, and we didn't trip about it when it didn't work out. We just looked at each other like, okay, well, we got out of it what we thought we was going to get. So,
and then we made an investment in crypto together, and we cha-chinged in it, like within almost like weeks or months. Like we cha-ching, like cashed out, like did and so, but it's risk, and so And so you got to have that type of person. If you don't have that type of if you don't have that type of person,
Absolutely.
Yep. So
Our next one is social lifestyle. Now, y'all call us old if you want to. We don't mind.
We don't mind.
But we are homebodies.
We are very much homebodies.
So
very much.
we will enjoy this apartment as much as we can, from eating out on the balcony to just eating on the table. We'll figure a way out.
I can think of thousands of things to do in this little apartment, but trust me, we're homebodies, and I don't think I could have any type of other mates. Like, that was just a non-negotiable. If you were a party animal, or if you, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with anybody who goes out all the time or is a social butterfly, because deep down I wanted to be that type of way. But yeah, we just.
But here's the thing, though. I will say this. I know just by the way she used to talk when we first met, and I say that like we've been together for 20 years, but she always talked about she loved to dance. And we finally got invited by a friend, a family that I was able to introduce her to, and we went out with them and we got to dance.
We went to dance.
And I'm telling you, because we are homebodies, we had the most fun.
We had
when
the
we went out and danced with them.
Time. Dancing to old school music.
It was awesome.
When I say we had the best dance, so we do, and that goes into like our social lifestyle. That goes into, even the type of friends we have. If we don't have, we're at the point now. If like my friends have to be okay with him. And his friends have to be okay with, because now we've if you're not okay with the both of us, it's going to be an issue, and I'm going to have to make a decision. And so and then even down to, we don't even, no offense to nobody, but we don't like dogs. And so these are part of like some of the things that we,
and it ain't that we don't like dogs. We just don't want a dog.
We don't want
because we're homebodies, but we don't have a lifestyle where we can raise a dog and look out for it and keep it, because she will get online and say, "Oh my God, we need to go XYZ." And we
need to hop a plane.
We're in the plane, or we're in the car, we on something leaving, and we're gone.
And we're going to keep little Rover. I don't know where you're going, Rover, but you ain't going with us.
Yeah, because it'd just be cruel to the animals if we was to have a dog, because we're not here long enough to take care of them.
Yeah, and then we have also some of our our standards. Just the type of social things we like to do, and
sometimes we laugh at ourselves.
Yeah,
because we'll find ourselves in the bed. Like, really, when I say early, really early.
Yeah, people be like, "Oh, y'all newlyweds, y'all in bed." I'm like, seriously, we really sleep at 7:30. Like, seriously, no, we're asleep. We're asleep at 7:30.
So,
but we're very much homebodies, and we're okay with it. But we also have the type of social life where we don't mind spending money on experiences.
Oh, true that.
So if we want to hit somebody's vineyard up, or trip, or winery, or vineyard, or restaurant,
we will go spend for an experience.
We'll spend money for an experience.
We don't mind that at all.
Yeah, we're looking for. I'm looking for Lionel Richie tickets in another state. Like, I'm trying to figure out, should we go to Seattle, Washington to do it? But so we're okay with that type of. But we're compatible there. Like, that's what we like. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and then the last one is that
what is that, baby?
Our political lifestyle. Like, we have the same political views.
Yes.
And those are standards. Like,
Yes, you want somebody that believes what you believe.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to have a divided house. You want to be in agreement on every topic that there is, because that's how we pray. We pray in agreement every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even if one of us wanted prayer, we heard something from a family member, and we reach out to the other while they're at work or while they're at the grocery store, anywhere, and say, "Hey, I want you to agree with me on this right here." we stop what we're doing and
Mhm.
we come in agreement on that particular thing for that individual right then on the spot. So
Yeah.
just the political,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not about candidates. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't have, it's not like, okay, we both,
yeah,
we totally agree on Biden or Obama or whoever or Trump or whoever. We totally agree on
yeah,
this person. It's not that. We have standards of what we believe, and what we believe, and they are aligned to the
yeah,
word of God. Like, so yeah. So, but those are standards. And so I guess the overall message is, you know, if somebody doesn't work out, stop trying to make it fit. Because a lot of times we're trying to fit squares in a rectangle
yeah,
or trying to fit circles in an oval. Like, if don't get mixed up with your gifts and your character. Like, set your standards, your characters, your moral standards. Set those and don't compromise in those. Do not
yeah.
compromise, because those moral standards is what's really going to attract the right person to you.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And as you are setting those standards, go ahead and pray for the type of man or person that you want.
And
Go ahead
need.
and pray for that person, because even though you don't know who they are right now, pray for them anyway.
That's the
Because the
preparation.
one thing I loved about learning about what she went through, her journey, is when she prayed for me, what it allowed me to do was go back in that time frame where she was praying for me, and I started asking myself and asking the Lord, did she help bring me through this? Because I didn't know she was praying for me during that year before I actually saw her. So that could be, something that helps whether you know who that person is or not.
And let me tell you why I was praying for him. And I told you I was going to talk about a dream that I had. I met him in the beginning of. I came across him in the beginning of 2018. I did not contact him. I didn't go on his DMs until January of 2019. So between we not even in that pruning period yet. But in that period between the time I saw his profile on that dating site and the time that I got the courage up to go into his DMs, I had a dream. I was doing my October fast, and on one of the nights, every time I fast, I'll get up and I'll wake up and I'll talk about the dream I had. So on this particular dream, my phone is in the room, but it was October 8th, and I had a dream, and the dream was that we were in an apartment, and it looked like it was we weren't married, but Terrence was laying in my bed, and it was as if I don't. I mean, he was in the fully clothed, but he was and it was dark in the room, and he was very distraught, and he was sad, and so I peeked in the room to make sure he was okay, and when I went in the room, it was a safety pin that was open, and so I put the covers over him, and I closed the safety pin because I didn't want him to get poked. And I came out and I went on the balcony. And the balcony, when I went on the balcony, it was like a room. And I had discovered like a new room on this balcony. And on the balcony, it was like all of these different compartments. And so I closed the door where he was, and I, you know, just let him be. And I went to chill out on the balcony. Now, that dream resembles this apartment now, and this been years later. And when I saw this apartment, I was like, oh my God, that was the dream. That was this is the apartment that I saw in the dream. But when I woke up, I got the revelation. I had also shared it with somebody, and they had given me some insight as well. But the cover represented covering him in prayer, and the safety pin was that he was gonna be hurt. He was hurt. He was healing from something, and so I closed the pin to make sure he was not gonna hurt anymore. So I covered him with prayer. But the balcony represented that somebody helped me interpret this. When I went on the balcony, I discovered all of these different rooms, and the person was saying you're discovering different sides of yourself. And so it was during that time And also, like a year later, I told y'all, I had went natural and I started to discover all these different things about myself. And so that's why I had committed to pray for him, is because I saw him in the dream and I didn't know what he was dealing with. He was in the dark. He was in the dark. And so I covered him with the blanket, and that was covering him with prayer. And so when we met, he always talks about when he was asleep, when he was asleep, when he was asleep, when God had him asleep. And I guess God had taken me out of his rib and he was pruning me. And so it is part of the process when yes, in God's house, in my Father's house there are many mansions. And so so it's part of the process that when God gives you the revelation, again, whether you've seen the person or not. In my case, I had seen this guy. I had seen a picture of him. So whether you've seen him or not, or just seeing somebody in a dream, you keep seeing your husband. That is an indication to prepare, because it's about to manifest. It's about to manifest. And somebody had written on a comment a couple of weeks ago, when God, I don't believe, I believe that when God sends you somebody, you're going to be ready. And I agree too. But with the people that we're dealing with, oh, they spiritually they have spiritual insight. Like y'all are seeing these men, and y'all seeing them in the spirit realm, whether it's dreams, and that's the revelation. And it's like, what do you do with it? And you got to be very prayerful, careful, and load up on your virtue, your wisdom.
Yes.
Because you got to prepare. Yeah.
Yes.
You keep dreaming of marriage, the ceremony. Now the ceremony is covenant and covenant and partnership. So you may want to pray that whatever that ceremony is, that it's not a demonic ceremony, that's not a demonic covenant. What he keeps coming to your thoughts? I don't know what that said, diapers. I don't know, I understand what that means. But so when you're dreaming of a ceremony, um, that means covenant. So you want to pay attention to who is at the ceremony. Is it somebody you know? Be careful with that, because that could mean like a ooh, a ring in his hand. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, and y'all better prepare, because he could be circling and can't land. He could be circling and circling and circling, and God may want to manifest it and it can't land for whatever reason. So a lot of fasting, a lot of praying. um Keep your hands off of it. Like if you see who this person is, like use wisdom of approaching him. Oh, you got to talk. Have we talked to you yet? You got to talk to us about it.
Yeah.
We here. TerrenceandJill@gmail.com. It's deep. It's more than just these God-ordained unions. No, not yet. Okay, well we here. Well, we here for the next couple of days. Let me just tell you, we're about to be out of commission for like 2 weeks. But yeah, these God-ordained unions ain't no joke, because the enemy is trying to stop it.
Yes, and that's something else that y'all have to, and I know you are, because if y'all already seeing dreams and everything else, then you understand that this is all about spiritual, and the enemy's job is to prevent that union.
Yeah.
So you all aren't just anybody that's trying to be married. You're somebody that God has a plan for.
It's an impact.
And it's going to impact other folks, and the enemy does not want that to happen. So that could also be why you're seeing some of the stumbling blocks and some of the delays, is that the enemy's working overtime to prevent you from doing something later that he doesn't want you to do.
Yeah, and you got to be real careful of who comes into your life, because Ishmael always comes before Isaac, and counterfeits come all the time. And if the enemy can convince you that he's it to prevent you from being with the one, he'll do it too. That's why you got to add to your faith, get that virtue in there, get that set them godly standards, those moral standards, because you ain't got time to be entertaining old fools.
Yes.
Nah, you ain't got time to be. You don't got the emotional capacity, and no. And so you got to try the spirit by the spirit, and that's what When I keep hearing prepare, when I tell y'all, I keep hearing it. You don't want to be able to counterfeit. That's why you shut it down. Yes, you got to keep it moving. You got to be able to spot it from my sister. I have a sister that's really good from the first phone call. And I'm good. I can do it too. I really can too. I can do it, but sometimes mine would come from a spirit of rejection. Like I would reject you just because I was carrying the spirit of rejection. But I have a sister that's really good at vetting a man the very first phone call, and how and even how she get the number, how she even gives him the number, I don't know, because I am very careful of who I would give my phone number to. But you've got to be able to spot a counterfeit. Like you got to see those red warning signs like this. And so yeah. And when I'm gonna tell you, do your due diligence. I will go. I look at fruits, because a lot of times you can look at especially that's why I was all for men who had kids, because I want to look at your kids, because I could tell a lot about you about your kids. And so I'll look at your kids and see, okay, especially the relationship. But yeah, y'all know from the video I told you, one of my main signs was how he spoke about his ex. And so yeah.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah,
so with that said, y'all know we got to tie this in, and it's the same scripture that we've been talking about. Okay, 2 Peter 1, verse 5 through verse 7. Okay, and that says, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. So, as we hear it in church, we hear it with all of our friends, do you have faith? But like Jill said early in this video, a lot of times we don't hear that we need to continue to grow and to add to. So as you have faith, start to work on that if you haven't, and just watch what happens as you build those things. And and keep an eye on the type of people that you draw to yourself as you develop these new characteristics, if you don't have them yet, and see how that works out.
Even friendships.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. See the type of people you're drawing to yourself.
So we're continuously praying for you guys every single day, that God delivers who you're needing, who you're looking for.
Yes, and who God has for you.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, any questions? Anybody got any questions? Any questions? Yeah. Don't settle.
Yes, and please don't forget our email if you ever want to reach out to us. It's terrenceandjill@gmail.com.
And then the other thing, you're welcome, Toya. The other thing I just want to say real quick, because I used to hear this all the time. I had a childhood friend who and we grew up to be older friends together. But she used to always, she had and this is public knowledge, like, so I'm not repeating anything that is private, but she used to always talk about, being a ride or die girlfriend. And her thing was about loyalty. And, loyalty is a moral standard, is in virtue, being loyal. But you got to be careful on what loyalty is. because in her situation she was in an abusive relationship, and abusive to the point of emotionally and verbally abusive. And so but they stuck it out. Like, he cheated on her umpteen times with one of her girlfriends. Like, it was very, very ugly. um Hold on, I'm gonna tell you. I'll say something about that in a few minutes. Diapers. So she stuck it out with him, and they ended up being in a relationship. She had she has a grown child now, by him, but she stuck it out with him, and she called that loyalty. She called that, and he never married her. She called that, just being, ride or die, and just not giving up. And we've been through a lot. When you are with somebody, the whole point of going through a lot is to be on the same team together, going through a lot, not opposed to being opposite, fighting each other, going through a lot. So that's a whole different thing. And sometimes a lot of women can misinterpret loyalty as sticking through the bull crap. And that is an indication that you don't have any good moral standards. And so be careful with that. Diapers asked, she said, is it okay to approach a man? We can't tell you what to do. Like that, let me just say that. We can't give you no advice because a sister approached him. I went into his DM. I went into Terrence's DM. I did approach him, and it sent me back with tears. But it was a good thing that I did approach him, because what it did was it put me in his Facebook queue. Y'all know most of y'all know the story. It put me in his Facebook queue, and it was a year later that he ain't know how I got there. And I'm like, well, you don't remember? You ghosted me. Yeah, I approached you, and you ain't bite.
See, now you're gonna make me have to explain what that meant. So
we explained about 50 times. At the end of the day, he ghosted me. But I said at the end of the day, be careful. You got to use wisdom with that. But if it's a situation where he won't know about you if you don't approach him, I would say yes. I definitely say yes, approach him, but use wisdom. And a lot of times when you approach the person is a good thing, because it will weed out, if he is or is not the one. But yeah, be very careful, and then get to know that guy's character. Because it's a lot of men out here that are waiting to say, "Oh, she slipped in my DM."
There's two things you might want to be cautious of, though. One is how you go into his DM. Be careful what you say to introduce yourself.
Oh, he knows her.
Because men will take that.
He knows me.
Oh, then you should be cool then. It's just a matter of him saying, I know her, but I didn't know she felt this way or what happened.
Does he know you as a good person? Do you know him as a good person? Is it just like y'all friends or you're in the same social circle, and he doesn't know you like him?
The other thing I would say is, if it's somebody that you don't know, is just like in our situation, because she wasn't in my life, when she said I ghost her, I just wasn't on social media. You know what I mean? I get on there a little bit. I get off just checking things out. But it was a time in my life where I took a break from social media because I was an entrepreneur and I had been on there a lot in the past years. So I was actually just giving myself a break. And it just so happened she dropped in there when I was breaking. And she interprets that. Her interpretation is that I ghost her.
But let me
My
tell
interpretation that I just wasn't online.
But let me tell you how God is so awesome, because I had the dream a couple of months before that he was in a very distraught, dark place. So the human side was saying, he ghosted you, girl. But the godly side was saying, he's going through something. Continue to pray for him. And that's why it is like, you got to have your ear to the pavement.
You got to.
Diaper said that they're in the same ministry together. Now, you can't go on what I would think, but to me, if he knows you and he knows of you, and y'all in the same church, the ministry together, to me that says he as the man would know if you.
Depends on what he is, where he is in his life.
That's true.
He could be on his grind trying to get his job and get
We
his
got a whole video
career.
about that when they said they not ready. It could
Yeah.
be that he's the one. He's just not.
He could be focused on something and hadn't seen her yet in the way that God would have him see her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the prayer is, Lord, if he's the one, remove the blinders, put us in a situation. Yeah, that's just a matter of changing up the prayer, your prayer. Yep. If he's not for me, and that was a part of my prayer too. If he's not for me, Lord, let me let me see him with another woman. Let me see him with a fiance or a wife. If he's not for me, guard my heart so that I won't be disappointed. If he's not for me, that's just a changing up of the prayers. But yeah, you want revelation. Because and you want, I would say, that's close. That's very close. That takes some fasting and praying now. Like you about to that takes courage. That takes that's some it's like that's delivery room. Like you pushing something out. It's either gonna be a yay or nay. But either way, you gotta be prayed up. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
congratulations.
Ooh.
So I'm just saying.
Ooh.
You gotta claim it.
Ooh.
So congratulations.
Ooh.
I'm gonna claim it for you.
Ooh. That's what the pastor said. The prophet, the pastor prophet. So, but yeah, you just right now, like we said last week, right now you're that much closer to him.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yep.
Absolutely.
So. All right, y'all. But that's about it for the Smiths.
Yes. Yeah, so we really thank y'all for spending this evening with us.
Yes.
We hope that you got something out of it. We hope that we share some things that you definitely got enlightened on, or is going to help you look at something in a different light.
Yep. So
and through it all, may God be given the glory.
Yes, may God be given the glory, and press, prepare. And prepare means fast, pray, get on your face. And it's really a life or death situation. Like seriously, like this is
Yeah, because outside of your salvation, this is probably the most important decision you're going to make in your life outside of your salvation.
Yeah. Yeah. So you might as well get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
All right, y'all.
With that said, y'all.
Yeah. Deuces.